Welcome to the Dublin Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jonathan Giles, on Monday the 19th of February. On tonight's show, we'll be reviewing Saturday's 5-0 away thrashing against bottom of the table Burnley, and we'll also be looking ahead to our midweek game against FC Porto on Wednesday night, and to our home game against Newcastle United at 8 p.m. So, Anya Williamson, are you listening? So sit back and enjoy the show. On this week's show, I'm joined by my regular guests at this stage. Carl Ozzy Osborne from the UK. How are you, pal?
How are you, mate?
Not too bad, pal. I'm also joined by Eamonn. Who are you this week, Danley?
Evening, Jonathan. Evening, Carl. Evening, Craig. Going to have an Indian curry tonight there. Looking forward to it. Vindaloo. Makes me whole week.
It's great to see you. Happy as always.
Yeah, all good. All good. I am very, very pleased after the weekend's events now, I have to say. All good.
And I'm also joined by Mr. Craig Sumbadance Smith. How are you?
Hello, guys. How are we? Jonathan, thanks for having me on.
No problem, Pop. Fresh from his trip from Burnley on Saturday, and a nice away game to get in, Craig.
Still recovering.
He looks fresh-faced. Let's do all my guests, as always. We start with the review from Saturday. So, as always, goals by Odegaard, a penalty by Saka, another goal by Saka in the second half. Leandro Trossard and Kai Havertz gave us a 5-0 win against Burnley. It leaves us second in the table with 55 points, 2 points off top of the table, Liverpool. Since January the 20th, since the restart, or the reset, you could even say, we've scored 21 goals and conceded 2. It's 5 wins from 5 Premier League matches from the January start. And as Liam Gardner said to us a couple of weeks ago, Eamonn, he says, if we could get 5 from 5, we're going to be in the mix. 6 from 6, as he said, if we beat Newcastle, it could even be better, and who knows, anything is possible now. I was in work sadly for this one, but from what I saw from the highlights, we really just controlled. The first goal was going to be important. We got that early. A great move down the left, Martinelli into Odegaard. 1 touch to control it, 1 touch to hit it, and goal. Clear-cut penalty on Trossard. But I think Bukayo Saka is just getting this mental strength since that miss in the Euro 21 final. He's the confidence he has now stepping up to take penalties is just unbelievable. He's just on the score now. In fairness, James Trafford, he went the right way. Well, he got just a hand on it, but it was just the power of the penalty. Took it in, and the second goal was just cracking. His displays are really faultless, aren't they? He's growing in confidence in every game, and under Arteta, he's just growing into a superstar. Leandro Trossard, but his goal was cracking, but he just keeps getting better since January reset as well. And Havertz, as Eamonn says, week on week, he's becoming an Arsenal player now, and what a finish! And after last week's 6-0 win, another 5-0 this week. We're not conceding goals, and we're getting the goal difference. I think it might be +1. I think ahead of Liverpool, and we're going to Saturday night's game and Wednesday night's game full of confidence now. And I think, aside from Liverpool, I think we're probably the most informed team ourselves in Europe, maybe even excluding Leverkusen. That's a big thing to say, I know we've joked about Arteta being a small-time manager now, but what he's done is really quite incredible in the last 2 seasons, if anything. I'm going to go to Craig. He somehow snatched an away ticket. I don't know what he done last week for it. We won't go into that. He looks quite happy. Craig, how did you see from the away end? It looked a cracking atmosphere in the way end, but your overall view of the match?
Yeah, a great day, Johnny. About the away ticket, all I'll say is just about who you know. That's all I'll say on that comment.
Very diplomatic answer. Fair play to you, Craig.
No, super day. Really good atmosphere in the pub beforehand. Burnley's a good away day. They have a cricket club just at the back of the way, sports club, which is a decent pub, because can kind of hold 2,000 or 3,000 people, with most of the fans kind of out the back of the cricket club. But no, look, I was quite confident going into the game. Burnley have been pretty poor this season. Although I watched them last week against Liverpool, and they actually performed decently in Anfield.
Yeah.
But I was happy enough with the lineup beforehand. I don't think he could have changed the team. Going back to the West Ham game, 6-0, be pretty hard to drop some coming up to the Burnley game. But look, we couldn't have went any better, really. We scored in the first 6 minutes, I think it was. Good finish. I'm trying to remember now who got the first goal. Was it Saka?
Odegaard,
sorry, it was a great finish from outside the box, yeah. Odegaard. I had plenty of beers there on Saturday, so I was just trying to,
a cricket club haven't made in there.
I'm just getting flashbacks, Ozzy, But no, look, it's kind of one of them games where it couldn't have went any better, To be a couple of goals up in the first half, you couldn't have asked for better, really. I thought Trossard and Havertz had another very good game. I think the tactic now is for them to kind of interchange between the two of them every few minutes, where one of them's up front and one of them goes to the left I think that kind of took teams by surprise, and they're not really expecting that, especially in the West Ham game and Burnley game. I don't think they had really any answers for it. And then, a great finish by Havertz. He was brilliant again on the day, and Trossard took his finish well as well. I think Trossard probably could have had one or two more. I think he went through on goal, but he just got tackled the last second when he got through. But I just think, again, Trossard's been such a good sign. He signed this time last year, January, and I just think since he's joined, he's been absolutely amazing. The amount of assists and goals he's had is outstanding. And I think I read a stat here today. I think the only person that has a better goal and assist ratio, I think it's Fabregas and Van Persie, which, to put Trossard up with them two is really good. I could be wrong on them two names there, but I'm pretty sure Fabregas is in there.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be far off, Craig. Yeah.
I think he's a goal and assist every 97 minutes, which is brilliant for a player. But and Trossard doesn't even start every game. He comes off the bench a lot, so that's saying something as well in itself. I think it was a really shrewd signing. And like Eamonn's mentioned a couple of times over the last few weeks, I think Havertz is kind of coming into his own. I think we maybe have found a position for him. I don't know if you'd play him in every game left eye, but there's a lot of games, definitely against the lesser clubs, that you can play Havertz in that left eye role, and he could come up with one or two goals. But I thought it was a brilliant performance overall. Second half, we just we kind of just stayed in second gear. I thought that throughout the whole game, really. There wasn't really one player who was bursting their bollocks off to kind of throughout the game, because we're just so much better than Burnley. They're really poor side, Burnley. I know companies trying to get them to play football, but I just don't think they have the quality. I didn't really know many of the players in the team, and that's very different to any of the Sean Dyche sides that you'd face over the years with Burnley. You'd always get kind of Premier League veterans in their team. They had Ashley Barnes, Tarkowski, Nick Pope, and that kind of over the years playing for them. But they have a very, very young squad. I'm not saying they're not a good footballing side, but they outclassed everyone in the Championship last year, and it hasn't really happened for them in the Premier League this year. I think Company probably is a good manager, but I think he's probably playing the wrong tactics for the club kind of Burnley are, because Burnley, they're kind of they kind of remind you of Stoke going back, but then all of a sudden they're changing their philosophy. But I reckon they'll probably go down. But look, I've no complaints about Saturday. I thought it was a brilliant game. Saka again just goes from strength to strength, and Odegaard was exceptional. I've no really faults, to be honest with you. Maybe the only fault is that Cedric got on for 20 minutes.
Yeah, like I know when I go to games, and Eamon and Ozzy are the same as yourselves, you just get a better view, an all-round view, of what the telly doesn't really show you. What did you make of Kai Havertz's game? Do you see him different since the first half of the season when you went to watch him? Do you see a difference since the reset? Do you see him as, like Eamonn said last Monday? Do you think he's an Arsenal player now, the way he be playing?
Yeah, like I definitely think he's improved. I think when he first came in with the first kind of 5 or 6 games, he was probably trying too hard. Coming from Chelsea, he's under a little bit of pressure. Probably felt it himself that he needed to score a goal or two to kind of get the fans, behind him. But I think maybe since he kind of came out of the team there in December for a few games, and then he's come back into the team, he's definitely improved. Like I said, I mentioned him and Trossard, they kind of changed throughout the game, where one of them went to front, one of them went into the left 8 role, and because we're so unpredictable, teams don't really know what to do against us, in my opinion. As we all mentioned at Christmas time, we were probably a lot, very predictable, sideway passing. We couldn't create anything towards the end of December there. But, since the Dubai break, we've obviously worked on that over there a lot. And, it's showing now, 21 goals in the last 5 games. So, look, it's not going to go on for the next 10 games we're winning 5 or 6 nil, although I hope it does. But it just shows how good Arteta is tactically. That we were struggling towards the end of the season, and obviously the changes he's made has made us improve. But look, there's no doubt in the quality of the Arsenal team. It's just it is very difficult when any team kind of just sits back against you. But to be fair to Burnley, they're not really a kind of back to the wall, sitting kind of 10 men behind the ball team. So, their tactics kind of suited us, I think, on Saturday. So I think, you'll face a lot tougher defences and 10 men behind the ball, maybe, towards the end of the season, because there'll be a lot of teams scrapping to trying to stay in the league, But yeah, look, Burnley kind of just played very open and, it played into our hands, really.
Yeah, with no disrespect to Burnley, before I come on to Eamonn, it's probably a championship team like Sheffield United in the Premier League. Sadly, they just didn't strengthen the right areas, and they probably will keep company. They see him as probably. Like
I wouldn't say they didn't strengthen the right areas, Johnny. I think that they obviously have a philosophy now, Burnley, of buying young. I think majority of the players they bought were under 23 in the summer. You feel like what we did 2 or 3 years ago, They probably will go back down, whether a company will stay there or whether they get sacked, or I don't know. But they probably will come back straight back up, because they've decent players, but just a jump from the Championship to the Premier League is very high. Yeah,
and to be honest, when I watched Burnley in the Championship last year, they were hammering teams what we were doing now. They were beating them 4 or 5-0 and going in with that same. You do get cut out very quickly, and probably, I say Sheffield United and Burnley are probably gone, but you have to give it to company, stuck to his ways. But on to you, Eamonn. That's our 3rd away win now since the reset in January. And when we go ahead now, we don't really see us losing from that position. What did you make of the game on Saturday yourself?
First of all, on Burnley, I think what Burnley are doing is they're looking at their future. That they didn't buy a whole pile of people they couldn't afford when they came up, and that with the parachute payments and the way they work, they'll still play their football. They may well go down. They'll have a young, good squad, and if they come back up a second time, they'll be much more adaptable to the Premier League. I think that's what's happening there, and they have a young coach, so I think they're okay.
Yeah.
And Craig said, quite rightly, it's not in their DNA under the present manager to kind of set up as low. They actually set up very low at the Emirates, if you remember.
Yeah.
But they ran out of gas then. This time, they actually went 4-4-2 against us, and they actually tried a bit of physical with us early on. But you know what? This Arsenal team doesn't mind the physical. We're okay with that. That's one major change over the last few years.
Yeah.
Because Arteta himself, as a player, he was a dainty player, but he knew how to look after himself. You know? So the physical stuff wasn't a worry. And the funny thing is, they were playing forward at the back. We actually decided to play 3-2-5. Like, we didn't. I don't get all this left 8 stuff. What the hell is a left 8? What is a left 8? Like, a few years ago, it was all about defensive mid. What is a defensive mid? A midfielder is a fella who, when he hasn't got the ball, tries to get back into a defensive position to win it. And when he has got the ball, he tries to move it forward. That's what a midfielder is. Midfield. This left 8 stuff does my absolute head in. And by the way, Kai Havertz hasn't been playing left 8. He's playing everywhere, right? If you look at the way what we did against them was, they had 4 at the back, and we had 5 up top, but we only really had 2. And the 2 were Havertz and Trossard. And they were actually going around like a whirlpool. There was no left 8 or left right or centre forward. There was nothing. What they were doing was they were just causing havoc. It was like a plunger going into a sink. They were causing havoc. Burnley didn't know where to pick them up. And they were getting balls all over. And that's before you even mention Odegaard, who painted the entire game from start to finish. And then Saka and Martinelli. It's no wonder we won 5-0. Because, as I said, Burnley played 4 at the back. We played nominally 2 forward players, but really 5. And we absolutely tortured them. It could have been 10. It could have been 10. You know? It wouldn't have been. So, I just want to touch on Kai Havertz for a minute. To me, as I said, I'm by the way, Craig, when I talk about left 8, I'm not having a go at your comment. I see it on the threads, and I see it everywhere. I don't know what a left 8 is. Okay, Kai Havertz played as a wall because we no centre forward. He didn't play centre forward, but what he did was he got into channels and gaps the whole time. But he's a brilliant man to play a pass to and get a pass back from, or move it on quickly. I thought he was absolutely outstanding on Saturday, and his form came up in November. He was our player of the month of November, and then we all had a dip in December. But that guy, I'm telling you one thing: 65 million quid, a bargain, an absolute bargain, right? What he reminds me, not the same type of player, but his start with the Arsenal reminds me of Robert Perez. Couldn't quite adapt until about 6 months, when in his head it all clicked. He's a different type of player than Perez. Perez is one of the most elegant players you'll ever see. But it's actually adopted in Kai Havertz's intelligent brain, what he's doing. The other thing I want to mention again, David Raya, although he was under no pressure, but his distribution was unbelievable. And I go back to the meltdowns that Havertz was a waste of money when we could have got Carlos kick a ball, and Raya is not an upgrade in Ramsdale. Once and for all, we need to agree, Raya was the goalkeeper that the manager wanted before we got Aaron Ramsdale. I love Aaron Ramsdale, but he is a better option. His distribution is snappier, more accurate, quicker. And you can see now he's got the number one. It might be number 1 on his back, but he's got the number 1. He's connected with the fans, all of that type of stuff. Ben White, what's the story with him? He's now become Zinchenko on the other side of the pitch. Kivior, he's kind of got a Barnett like you, Craig. It's impressive. I'll tell you one thing: people calling for Kieran Tierney to come back. Kivior is Kieran Tierney that doesn't get injured. He's a no-nonsense left-sided defender. There's a bit of the devil in him. He can't do what Zinchenko does. And over myself and Carl's favourite old buddy, Benny White, then comes in and shows what a good footballer he is. So, look,
Eamonn,
it could have been
would you
10.
Would you stick with QER on Wednesday?
I'll play QVR any day that we need to play.
No, but if Zinchenko's back fit, what would you do?
Well, I don't know. I'll ring Mickey and see what he wants to do because he's in charge of the team. But I don't know. Like Zinchenko has to be managed. Zinchenko's body is not up to plan. So maybe with a game against Newcastle the weekend, I'd probably stay with Kivior.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when we talk about Porto. So just a couple of other quick points before Carl comes in. The first goal that we got, Martinelli's final ball was absolutely unbelievable. Watch it again. It's off the outside of his foot, not going across the box like he normally does, spotted Odegaard. It was an absolute peach. These are things that the manager works on. Everybody was saying Martinelli's final ball could be a bit better. What does he do? And I think just Bukayo Saka, and I don't like inflating or being sensationalist, is only behind Kylian Mbappe as an attacking player in world football. That's all I'd say. He's an incredible force of nature. He is absolutely incredible. And I suppose the last thing, we didn't celebrate that wildly and all of that type of stuff. But if Liverpool or City did that to the opposition, as it does, everybody said, well, Burnley were terrible. But Liverpool or City that do that say, well, they're being professional. Shows you how ruthless they are. That's the way champions need to be. We were absolutely ruthless. Our first 4 shots on target were goals. You know?
Yeah, that's an incredible stat, that, Eamon. Yeah, force.
So look, Arsenal look to me like a team. Maybe we might fall short this year. Maybe. But we look like a team. People saying we had a bit of a dip from last year. We are still on the way up. We're much more solid, much stronger. We were much more exciting last year because nobody expected it. We were like a firecracker at Halloween gone off, you know. This year it's different. And if we can add another 1 or 2 players to that team, or 3 squad players in the summer, we are going to be a serious proposition for 4 or 5 seasons, you know.
Yeah.
We have a chance this year, and I'm not writing that off. I'm just saying that if it comes up short, if you look at what we're doing now, you know, it's serious stuff now, you know.
Yeah. I have to say, before I come on to Carl, I know you've been waiting a while, Carl, that result, the Man City and Chelsea result, was massive. That draw really dragged City, you know. That game in hand they have now really means nothing now, you know. So that's going to be an interesting meeting on March 31st, you know. I still think you know, we all know City can just make, as Craig said at the start, they can just win 10 games in a row just like that, you know. But I said it at the start, I think since they've won that treble last year, they're not the same. They've lost key players.
They're not the same at the back, Jonathan, for sure.
No. Yeah. I just see something there. I don't know what to use. They just don't see in that. I don't know if you could say hunger, but, you know, if you compare us to them, you can see the difference, you know. Where
hold on. I watched them in recent weeks, and they were they were a frightening prospect to look at.
Yeah.
But they're not as strong at the back as they were. And do you know what it is?
Do you think Eamonn, sorry for cutting across?
Kevin De Bruyne is hitting 32, and one day he's going to go to the well, and it's not going to be there. And we're a team of 25 and 6-year-olds, you know?
Yeah, it's true, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, De Bruyne, the older he's getting, the better he's getting now, isn't it? But yeah, it will eventually.
No, he's not. No, he's not getting better.
But I take
he's not getting better. No, Jonathan, you see, that's rubbish.
He's
world class. What you'll find is that he does really, really great things on the eye, but less often. As you get older, that's what happens.
Yeah, it was kind of like ourselves on this 5-a-side pitch. I've done it less. I've done more drinking than I've done playing. Sadly, yeah.
AFTV or something.
I have to say, I'll take a quote out of Carl's book. It was more Merlot than Perlo, and you're right.
Johnny, would you put a bid in for De Bruyne, Johnny?
Yeah, if he became available, I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll never leave City, so sadly, that gone out the window. I'd probably sign you, Craig, to be honest. You know.
Yeah, can put me in goal.
Can I ground this conversation by saying my take on Saturday is, like, we absolutely mullered them and mullered West Ham the week before. That's what we are now.
Yeah.
We have the machinery to do this to teams. I mean, I think I said before Christmas when we were having a bit of a submarine moment, I'll call it, on the thread. One of these days we're going to put 7 or 8 up on a team. And the last 2 weeks we could have.
Yeah.
You know?
You've hit it on the nail, Eamonn, yeah. And but they were really a recognised striker as well. You know, it's coming from the goals are coming from all over, yeah. Ozzy, you've been waiting a while. It's 5 from 5 now, as I said at the start. How impressed were you with the performance on Saturday?
Yeah, I think we're allowed to cover quite a lot of ground there, and to be honest, a lot of points I was going to say. But what impressed me with Burnley is they set up to come and intimidate us within the first 5 minutes. The crowd sounded good. I don't know what it was like there, Craig. It sounded good on TV. You probably told me about. But the first 5 minutes, they sort of set the stall up, and within those 5 minutes, we shut them up basically. And that really, for me, because they were quite physical early on, and like Eamonn's quite rightly said, we're a different sort of team now. And actually, you're making comparisons to Man City about the defence, and you look at Stones and Nathan Ake and the sort of defence they've got. I look across the Arsenal back four. I've got the team in front of me now, and Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White, and Kiwara as well. You know, I don't see. You know, there's not many Man City players that will get in that defence, in my opinion. Looking at that, because I think Saliba and Gabriel this season have been nothing short of world class. I think it's fair to say.
Do you reckon it's the best defence in the league, Ozzy?
I would say so. Yeah, left back obviously with Zinchenko or Kiwa, but at the moment, you know, Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White, yeah, I'd say them three for me, but in the best defence in the league. And they've just been unbelievable. It's not just how good they are individually, but it's how good they work as a team as well. I think that's really, really good to see. And sort of Jacobs came in at left back, and like you, a very interesting question you said about Porto. Would you play with Porto? I know we'll go on to that later, but I think Zinchenko, I think is a safer pair of hands away from home, if I'm honest, defensively. But we'll see how that pans out when you watch him make a mistake on Wednesday. Now I've said that. What was different with this game as well was the possession in similar games of the Palace 5-0 and the West Ham 6-0. We actually let them have the ball early on first half. We had let them have the ball more and then pressed them, and then once we got the ball back, we absolutely terrorised them. And I think that was one thing I noticed different for the West Ham game, where we basically held the ball for pretty much 90 minutes. This game we did let them have it a bit, and I think that's because we was quite, whether that was a tactic I don't know, but we just seemed to be, like Damon said, switching it up. That whole Havertz, Trossard, Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard and Rice just sitting there in the middle, and Declan Rice playing right 41 position. Sorry, that's a bad joke. I was taking left 8 joke there, Eamonn. Right 41, get it. But anyway, but yeah, sorry for bad joke there. But yeah, no, it's with what I did notice as well with the first goal as well, Odegaard. That finished. I think over the past couple of weeks, I've been saying that confidence Odegaard's had in front of goal, taking that time, taking that extra touch, taking that extra second. He didn't do it then, and that's what he's capable of, and that's showing the confidence in his team. He's been an amazing player, Odegaard, the last couple of games, but in front of goal, he's had that. There's some confidence. There must have been some confidence issue. Just taking that extra second, he didn't hesitate once with that shot, and what a finish it was. A typical Odegaard. So I hope that starts to see that part of his game coming back now, because every part of the game's been world class as well. Sort of on my notes which you haven't covered, sort of Trossard looking like a man possessed in front of goal. He really wanted that goal, didn't he? And I think you can see with him, and that's the difference I was saying about. Why I'm saying this now, Odegaard, he took that shot first time, full of confidence. I think Trossard looks like a man under pressure a bit, because he's trying to keep his place, because Jesus is going to be fit again soon. And I think he just snatched at a few. Because we know Trossard's a good finisher, we know he can hit a ball, but he showed a bit of pressure. But he got his goal, and you could see how much that meant to him. And I think Trossard's came in, and and I've said this, and I know it's opinions of other Arsenal fans, but Trossard was always a great impact sub, but didn't really, for me, show it that much when he started the game, and that must be that he must be reading that and hearing that, and I think he really wants to play in this team, and you can see that. And
that's why he's going to go into a school, Carl, and to be 16 dead. He has that look about him, hasn't he?
Yeah. He does. He does.
Go into a garage any day, and he looked so. He was a lovely lad, was Trossard, but the 16 dead. He has that mad look about him. That's why I always worry when he does this. Who's he looking for?
You're looking for Johnny.
Well, you never find him in the crowd.
but yeah, you can't get a fucking ticket for a match. That's why it's like
you only need to ask, my friend.
So yeah, going back to
Carl, sorry for being rudely interrupted.
That's all right, matey. Don't worry. Just one thing about, like, I know Kai Havertz. We've mentioned him quite a lot, and I think last time I was on the pod with you, Craig, me and you both agreed that we didn't know what he was.
Yeah.
And after this game, I was on a walk and I was thinking about Kai Havertz and what he's done of late, because he's been amazing of late. And I look at that 60 million price tag, and you can't help but judge a player on 60 million. But for me, he's the ultimate utility player. I personally think I can see what he's done now, because you've got a player there that can terrorise that back four of Burnley by playing in all different positions, but not just any game. He can play up front. He can play, if you want to say, left midfield, right midfield. He can play on the wing. He can play, but he's a quality player, and he can play in all those positions. And I think where Arsenal were in the transfer market when they signed him, I think if Arsenal had 200 million, 300 million burning in the bank that they could spend without worrying about financial fair play, they could have brought an individual player for each one of those positions. But I think they looked at Kai Havertz and went, this guy brings utility.
He can do 4 jobs.
He can do 4 jobs. And they've looked at that and they've gone, we've only got 60 million left to spend. We've had to get David Raya on the K's catalogue, 20p a week for 1,000 weeks.
Rain chill stumps. Yeah.
But that's the way I look at it. Like Kai Havertz, for me, it sort of dawned on me after this game that you've got a great utility player, and is a player there that not many managers have got a song out of, but Arteta has. And I'm watching clips from Chelsea podcast having a meltdown because he's now a worldie, and Kai Havertz, we shouldn't have let him go. And Arteta's getting the right tune.
They got
Madrid. But music's my ears listening to that. But that's my personal opinion on him. It's like, I think I've put on my show notes, like, it's like buying 3 35 million players.
Carl, I need to stop you there. Are you watching them Chelsea podcasts on the sly, are you?
Well, only when they don't win.
That sounds a bit like CFTV to me.
Robbie, are you listening from AFTV?
We don't want to watch them Muppets. Right, but yeah.
Ozzy, just quick one for you though. I agree completely with everything you're saying about Havertz, right? But I still have a question mark. You might think I'm mad in some of the big games. If it was Champions League final tomorrow, I just feel like maybe I feel a bit more comfortable.
Champions League final. He scored the winner, Craig.
Let me finish.
No. I've just finished you. He scored the winner of the Champions League final.
What I was saying is that if it was Champions League final tomorrow, I'd be more comfortable with Jorginho playing instead of Havertz.
Would I play Jorginho or Havertz?
Would you feel more comfortable with Jorginho in instead of him? Yes.
Well, if you're playing defensive mid, I'd have Jorginho in there every day of the week. But if you're playing in midfield advanced and we're playing a tactic, it just shows how tactically astute Arteta is. We're setting up differently against different teams. And if you need a player that's going to cause you havoc between the final third, or actually put in a shift and put a tackle in and a bit of physical presence in the middle, then Havertz is your man. But Jorginho's a different player. Jorginho will sit there and he'll just spray the ball about. He'll organise everything. He won't do anything flash. He will just sit there and control the game from midfield. Now, Jorginho would worry me in the Champions League final, because can he do that against the top opposition? I'd rather see someone like Declan Rice sitting in that position and then playing Odegaard and Havertz in front of them, personally. If I was in Champions League final, I'd definitely. But we're all talking ifs and buts here. But Havertz, for me, is one of these players, like I say, we didn't know what he was, but he's a utility player. And he's a player that can play 3 or 4 positions, and he can do it within a match as well. And you watch him come on. You say about big... I've got one point to make on this, Eamonn. Sorry, mate, but you say about you say about big games, right? Let's remember, Man City, Tomiyasu flying at the pitch, went to Havertz. Havertz laid the ball off, and there's a goal there, wasn't there? Yeah.
But didn't he not? Didn't he play striker them games?
But what I'm saying is, it's just his presence. You know, he was crucial in that goal against Man City, and they brought him and Tommy on. And you know, on to do that, and that's what they did. He played in midfield. He caused the havoc in that final third, and his presence alone. You know, we got to give this guy the credit for what he's been doing. He's played in about 3 or 4 positions. Sorry, Eamonn.
Let me tell you something. Apart from Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz has been our best player for the last 2 months. Anybody with a pair of eyes can see that. If you're at the game, if you look at what he's doing in terms of moving the opposition around, and you say, Craig, you worry at home and teams set up defensively against us. That's exactly what he's doing. He's moving teams around. He's a really intelligent boy, right? And I tell you now, I struggled September, October, but I saw something in November. I said, actually, I can see what he's doing. You can't say he's this, but Card is absolutely spot on. He's a utility player. And a utility player makes him sound like something that you throw a bottle of Mr. Muscle down, you know, like a drain pipe, that it's no use. A utility player is very useful. I think you're spot on, Carl. For the 60-odd million we had left, because we had to get Declan, you know, we've got a player who is so intelligent, he can do several things, right? And yes, I would trust him in a big game, as Chelsea did when he scored the winner. But the other thing I wanted to say that I missed was, because we went kind of 3-2-5, because our manager is actually tactically smart and learns and gets things wrong, but learns.
But he's not a big name manager, according to Johnny.
Well, no, but what he did was,
manager till he wins trophies. That's the main thing.
No, but what he did was, by playing 5 in a very advanced position, he left the whole centre of the park for Martin Odegaard, who was like Mozart, right? I knew that Declan Rice was, was right behind him doing what Declan does. So he stretched the spaces available for the team, and it was really, really impressive. I have to say, tactically we were very, very good on Saturday, albeit against a poor team. That's okay. But would Fulham be that much better than Burnley? You know, like we turned West Ham by 6 when we couldn't beat them at the Emirates. We're just on a different page now, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Them couple of weeks off have been vital to us, though. You know, since we haven't put a foot wrong. You know, I think that's what we needed. You know, we did need that reset. You know, and you know, it's dear to dream, but you need to keep level-headed, because this is what happened last season. We all got carried away.
No, this is not what happened last season, Jonathan. This is absolutely not what happened last season. And if you think that, you need to really seriously think again. Last season we came out with a firecracker. No, Jonathan, listen now. Last season we came out. All I can hear is a squeak. You need to get your stuff upgraded. Jonathan, last season we came up like a firecracker that nobody expected.
Dancing lessons coming up now.
I'm still hearing your voice. Last season we came up like a firecracker that nobody expected. Nobody expected, including ourselves. And we were exciting, and we kind of fizzled out. This season is not like that. This season we started off slow, sluggish, more controlled. Okay, down 2 games at the end of December hurt us in terms of points, because we really should be leading the league by 4 or 5 points now. But we're in a different zone now than we were this time last year. I'm telling you, you know.
time will tell, I suppose. 5 wins out of 5 isn't too bad. I don't want to come to your man of the matches, lads. I'll start with you, Craig. Man of the match.
Look, I probably between Odegaard and Havertz, but I think I've picked Odegaard a lot of times before, so I think I'll give it to Havertz because I thought, as we mentioned throughout the pod, that the way he moved Burnley around for the whole game, and his goal was unbelievable. So I'd go with Havertz this time, although Odegaard was followed closely behind as he kind of dictated the whole game.
Yeah, probably go with Martin Odegaard. Yeah, so that, as Eamonn says, the last few games he's just been unbelievable in. Yeah. Ozzy, your man of the match?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Odegaard. I know I said a lot about Havertz, but Odegaard just for me, just because he got that goal and the way he's played last few games, that was the icing on the cake for him. So great to see him back scoring goals, and I hope he carries on. So Odegaard for me.
Eamonn, your man of the match?
I'm going to go with Craig on this one. I'm going to go with Havertz. I thought he was the most influential player on the game. And I'll tell you why. Because what him and Trossard did allowed the space for Odegaard to be as good as he is. Odegaard's a magician. A beautiful player. Lovely player. But I think Havertz was the guy who affected the game most by doing what he did. He also had a hand in 4 of the 5 goals, Yeah. So I'm going to give it to Kai Havertz. The only thing I'd say about him is he shouldn't do this. Because I've noticed his ears are very big. He's like Spock.
Can we just have a subtle nod to Ben White and his antics on corners as well? Because I absolutely love watching him on the corners.
Did you see for the whole game, Burnley had a tactic to put a player on Ben White? They wouldn't leave him free because they didn't want Ben White to start pushing their keeper. So that might be a tactic now going forward.
Probably. Yeah.
Set piece, boys. We've been doing excellent all season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another weapon in the armory, which is nice to see. Yeah. We move on to the Champions League last 16 first leg this coming Wednesday against FC Porto away. You shouldn't really be much, we should be seeing this over 2 legs. Say with the form we're in, we should be dispatching them, if not away, definitely at home. We lose their best players year on year. I'd hope, I'd like Nicholas Bentner to come back for the second leg, get a hat trick. No, you can only see a win here, but I know Eamonn is licking his chops there. How do you see the game going on Wednesday, Eamonn? That shepherd's pie is cooking nice.
The first thing I'm going to say is Porto aren't very sporting. You see, it's a totally different competition and a totally different mindset, right? I looked at the Portuguese league. Porto are kind of nestled in behind Benfica and the aforementioned Sporting. They don't score many goals and they don't concede many goals. So that'll tell you something, right? So any notion of us going over to, dazzle them, that's not going to happen. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be cagey. It'll be a different pace game that's played in the Premiership. The Premiership is played at a different pace than all football, right? So it's like anybody who plays Arsenal to go out and play as if they're playing against Burnley, it's not going to happen, right? Secondly, we've struggled with Portuguese opposition in the past. I think we can go over there and do okay. And doing okay to me would be a slender win or a draw, and I'd be okay. Get them back to London. And looking at their group, they won all 4 games except the 2 against Barcelona, and Barcelona are absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
They are. Barcelona. I think, do you know what? It's strange that Barcelona beat them home and away, but I think Barcelona will be an easier tie than Porto.
They only bet Porto by the odd goal over in the 2 games,
Who?
Barcelona. I think they only bet
Barcelona are shit. Barcelona are absolutely shit.
you'd expect Porto though to go at us on Wednesday because
I think Porto will do more.
I think if we take them back at the Emirates, we'll batter them. So I can only see us gliding through to the next round. But saying that, everything could go worse up and Arteta will be sacked by March. But anyway, Craig, you're licking your lips there. I don't know whether it's for a Zumba dancing or what, but how do you see Wednesday going?
Yeah, look, as Eamonn mentioned there, it's there's no easy tie in Europe, and it's a totally different game to the one that we played against Burnley on the weekend. Like Porto are third in the Portuguese league. I think they're only, as Eamonn mentioned, behind by 5 or 6 points, I think, from the top spot. I looked at their team the other day to kind of see, what kind of squad they have. We have Pepe there, who's probably about 67 at this stage.
Yeah.
They've another.
Yeah, but Craig, I remember talking to Terry Venables before about Pepe, and he said he's got fight and he's got an head. And he can go high and low and here and there.
You're a very evil woman.
That was Pele, not Pepe.
Yeah, Pele. Sorry, I've got an hearing aid, mate.
It's that Bruno Moretti.
No, but they've another decent winger. He plays in the number 10 role. I can't for the life of me think of him. Actually, do you know what? His name is actually Pepe as well. He's he's a tricky winger. I think there's actually links with us of looking into him last year, but I think he's probably their best player. They've another striker called Taremi, who's Iranian international. He seems to score a lot, but I think he's injured for this game. Look, I think if only go with the same team as Saturday. Yeah. Maybe Zinchenko comes back in for Kivior. I'm not sure how fit Zinchenko is. There's rumours that Vieira and Partey could be in the squad as well, albeit they're probably on the bench. But look, we need players back. The bench is looking thin. We haven't really needed in the last few games, which has been good. But I agree with Eamonn. I'll take a 1-0 now, or a 1-1. Yeah. Because I think we could definitely have to beat them in London. But look, Arteta has struggled in Europe before, albeit Europa League and that. So look, hopefully we're a full team and strong team out. All goes to plan. But look, this is where we fell apart last year in Europe. Remember, Saliba got injured, so I'm hoping for a lot better this year.
Yeah, you can only expect hopefully a victory on Wednesday. But coming to you, Ozzy, for your prediction, anyone that makes the last 16 in the Champions League, you have to, they're fairly decent, and they're in a tough group as their own, as we mentioned, with Barcelona in the group. I think Shakhtar Donetsk nearly missed out, I think, on second spot. I think it was the last game that got Porto through, I think. But I know their coach is fancy, so, and he used to play for them, and he was a decent player, and seems to be a decent manager as well over the last few seasons for them. What would your prediction be for Wednesday?
Let's just look at everyone's gone. Everyone's gone.
Yeah.
That
bad, Ozzy. Sorry.
Sorry, shut the dog out. Sorry.
Yeah. Don't talk about your misses.
Just think it's got to be. It's going to be tight. I think it's going to be a lot tighter than we think it's going to be. I think it's. They've got quite a young side. They're not, apart from Pepe, who like Craig says, rightfully 67, but he is held up by 10 fairly young players, and they've got early 20s, similar sort of.
But there's one thing as well, as sorry for coming across with Pepe at the back, he can be a red card waiting to happen.
And that's what's going to be against seeing him against the likes of Martinelli, Saka.
Yeah.
We exploit him, but then the centre half who played alongside him at the weekend, Octavio, is a Brazilian centre half, 21, and he's pretty quick. So, for what I've seen anyway, a little bit of research I did. But it's but young side, I think they're going to be up for it. It's going to be rocking in Stadio El Drago, is it? I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's going to be it's one of the only European grounds I've been to. It's great atmosphere there, and I think they're going to make it tough for us. I think it's I'll take a 1-0 now, and I think once we get back to Emirates, I'm sort of comparing it sort of to the RC Lons game in a way. It's going to be their big moment, and I think that'll be difficult. But then when you look to it, is at the Emirates is a different game completely. And I think, to be honest, look, my view is try and sneak a 1-0, try not to get any injuries, and I think that'd be a successful night for Arteta's men. I think. Yeah,
it's just nice to be into the last 16 of the Champions League, and then it's you can start dreaming then when you get past it. But I suppose let's take each game as it comes.
You can well start dreaming in that competition if you get into the last day.
Yeah,
because
that's when
you can start dreaming.
The cream starts rising at that stage of the competition. Yeah, 100%.
Like I was talking to Don from Coronation Street. He's an Arsenal fan, right? And he asked Ivy, could he go to the Porto game? She said no. And he said, Ivy, love, they named Ivy Outsoft, yeah. A home for the flame and bewildered Ivy. Yeah.
Was she a very evil woman?
You're an evil woman, Ivy. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's definitely better than it's so frustrating, Ivy.
By the way, look who's dropped in.
Hello, David.
AFTV, that great kind of bastion of knowledge, right? I was watching a guy on AFTV, and he was saying that David Seaman was one of the Invincibles. No chance.
He was one of the Invincibles. He wasn't playing.
He wasn't playing, yeah. I'd gone to Man City then and grown ponytail. That's just it was only a ponytail. You know?
Was it the same? Was it the same guy? I thought we moved to the Emirates in 2003 by any chance.
Same guy, yeah.
Same guy. Oh, right.
Yeah. Get him on the show and see. Do you know what? We get him on the show and we'll have a quiz.
We'll try to get him on.
Question number one.
Move to the Emirates.
Spell Arsenal.
We move on very briefly to Saturday's game against Newcastle, lads. Robbie from AFTV, are you listening? Particularly for Annie Williamson that was on the show in November. It's payback time.
Aim's me.
There will be no VAR in the Emirates, that's for sure, because there's a battering coming your way. Predictions, lads, starting with Eamonn.
Well, look, I'll be very quick on this because I know the show's been quite lengthy, but Newcastle, you just don't know. They can score goals, but they're leaking goals at the moment. If we come out Porto in decent shape, we've just got to shape up, get on with it. And I'm not saying that in a funny way. Get on with it and just go for it. And I think if we're in decent shape going into the game on the night and we don't pick up too many injuries during the week, I think we'll be okay because you can score against them.
Yeah. Ozzy, prediction for Saturday?
I'm going for 2-0 Arsenal. I think watching them at the weekend against Bournemouth, like Eamonn says, they've got vulnerabilities. They're going to come here and I think they're going to try and shut the shop. But we owe this team one, don't we? So 2-0 for me.
Craig, prediction Saturday?
Yeah, look, I think we owe this lot this week, because they kind of robbed us last year at the last game of St James's. Look, Newcastle are going to come Saturday. They'll sink the place out. They'll play defensively. They'll take an hour on a throw-in, and corner kicks as they do. And they'll just try and frustrate us like they did last year at the Emirates. I think it was 0-0 at the Emirates. They'll do the exact same. They'll try the exact same. I think the key here is a goal early on if we can.
Craig, I think you're absolutely right. But I've looked at Newcastle since they got Champions League last year, and since they expected fully to get Champions League this year, they're not capable of doing that defensive wall stuff anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think they probably try it up like that. Whether it work for them or not is another question.
They've a pretty big record at the Emirates as well. We've beaten them, I think, every time, bar a few occasions. So
yeah. But
the form that we're in, Newcastle.
Yeah, no. Look at the form that we're in, Johnny. Like as we've mentioned, it's a very big week this week. It's a quick turnaround from Wednesday to Saturday, so you know, coming into Saturday after whoever played on Wednesday, there might be a few changes. You might see the likes of Jesus, Smith Rowe, you know, Zinchenko coming back in if he doesn't play on Wednesday. So probably need to make 3 or 4 changes anyway, just to keep things a little bit fresh. But I think a goal early on is key against these. And if I had to predict a prediction, I'd go 3-1 Arsenal.
Yeah.
Probably keep
By
it
the
safe.
way,
Go with 2-0.
just for the older listeners, Eddie Howe is now Don Howe.
You're such an evil man. It's been a busy show, lads. There'll be no showing of the match in the River Bar for anyone that was thinking of going in. So I don't know what the alternative pub is.
The alternative is make your own arrangements. Saturdays.
Watch it at home.
You just won't get a place in town that you could just make your own arrangements, you know. Shop local.
But you can catch the FC Porto match in the River and see it. Is there anything else that's like mentioned? It's been a long show. Got a lot in tonight. Anything else? No.
Just for any of the fans who watch the show, if they want to donate to the GoFundMe that I set up to get Johnny a new laptop, the link will be below.
This is Craig's last appearance on this show. He's officially been moved to AM TV with the other crowd. I think he should fit right in there. He's letting the dog outside, by the way, folks. There's been scratching going on all night.
Is that a mic or a block of flats you have in your head there, John?
The Ballymun flats.
Yeah.
I am getting rid of the Bear Moretti from Eamonn for future weeks. He's just not the same.
Martin Stoneball said it's compulsory.
I think it should be all compulsory. Hopefully the listeners are drinking as well.
It's a bit like I said about the curry earlier on. It gives me an excuse to have a drink on a Monday. I look forward to it. It makes me whole week, you know.
On that note, it's been a great hour-long episode. Eamon's had his curry and his Bear Moretti, so all's good. As always, you can catch the show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel. Thanks to Martin for editing, as always. Thanks to Craig, Ozzy, and Eamonn for coming on tonight. Big week at FC Porto and Newcastle, so fingers crossed we can make a clean sweep with 2 good results. So until next Monday, have a good week, and thanks for listening. Cheers, lads.
Come on, you gunners, and I'll see
you
guys.
See you Saturday, mate. Take care.
Yeah.